Being confident is awesome. Being arrogant and egotistical and cocky, it will catch up with you.
The easiest thing in the world to do is be authentic, and the hardest thing in the world to do is be authentic, depending on where you're at in life, man.
In life, when you make a mistake, you own it, you fix it, you move on. Don't dwell. You have to be confident in what you're doing. Believe in yourself. You're good at your job.
I remember the days when I started out, minimum wage was $3.35. I got $4 an hour and thought I was rich, man. And when I hit 5, I was looking for a girlfriend because I had extra money to burn.
Everybody has a problem. How can you solve it? But again, you have to be an active listener. You can't do everything in one day. So don't try. Learn how to balance yourself.
I'm not selfish with money. I'm not selfish with time, as long as it's warranted. And I'm not selfish with knowledge. I freely give as much as I possibly can away.
In life, be your own CEO. Jack Del Rio, 2003 rookie minicamp. He told all of us in that room, drafted and undrafted.
We're in an industry that's very forgiving. You can not hit your numbers and still make a pretty good living in insurance.
If you're wanting to move forward, look at what you did in the past that worked, study it, and apply it going forward in your producing, in your business, in your life, and just keep moving forward.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Power Producers Podcast, where we are refining and redefining the sales game. And one of the ways you've got to do that, if you've listened to this podcast, you know this for a fact, you got to get your head right. You got to have your mindset right. You got to understand what's going to happen, anticipate what's going to happen, know that not everything's going to be rosy and rainbows and unicorns for you, but you have to know how to push through and persevere through whatever comes your way to break through on the other side and ultimately achieve your success and whatever your goals in life are. And you know, if you've listened to me for any length of time, that my number one goal into life is to die with memories and not dreams. Too many of us live a life unfulfilled because we don't take the time to enjoy the fruits of our labor. So we're going to go a little bit outside the box today. My man that's the guest, Marques Ogden, is not a producer. He's not an agency principal, but he is somebody like me who lost literally everything they had, picked themselves up by their bootstraps, put themselves back together, and now are enjoying a life that's worth living after going through some pretty tumultuous times. And his career started in the NFL. I know that, but that's not where you're at today, man. We don't even need to camp out on that much. But why don't you give everybody sort of just a quick overview, and then we're gonna get into it pretty good because I want to compare notes.
Appreciate it, Dave. I'm Marques Ogden. I'm from Washington, D.C. I went to Howard University, drafted to the National Football League by the Jacksonville Jaguars. My head coach was Jack Del Rio. Phenomenal guy, was a great player at USC, the NFL, taught me a lot about business, life, picking myself back up. I played for almost 6 years in the NFL, right, Dave? Then from there, got into construction, ended up building this massive 8-figure a year business. I was in site work, earthwork, heavy equipment, dozers, 360s, you name it. Lost that company because I was a jackass and my ego got in the way, and I lost everything that I owned in 2013. Had to move to Raleigh with $400 to my name, almost homeless. Thank God the NFL trust stepped in. The Gene Upshaw Trust, our first executive director of the NFLPA, has a trust. I was one of the first 5 guys to get it, Dave, and they paid my bills for 4 months. Didn't go home. I then became a custodian after I got fired from 2 jobs in the same week. And then I had my rock bottom moment, said I want to be a speaker, started speaking in September 2013. Didn't get my first paid job until, April 2016. Last 8 years, we worked for over 60 Fortune 500 companies as speaker, insurance, finance, real estate, education, you name it. But again, right there, I've been a guy that's been at the top, made millions of dollars. I've been down at the bottom making $8.25 per hour.
I remember the days when I started out, minimum wage was $3.35. I got $4 an hour and thought I was rich, man. And when I hit 5, I was looking for a girlfriend because I had extra money to burn. But you know what? Here's the thing. This is what I want to talk about for just a second, because you said something that I think is really important for this audience to hear. And you use the term ego. Your ego got in the way. And I want to be very clear. There's a lot of egos listening to us right now. You have to have a level of confidence to be successful as a producer. You just have to. You can't go be meek. You can't hope it's going to work out. You can't think maybe you have a chance. You have to believe you're going to go in and crush it every single time you're going in to have an appointment. But I've seen it time and time again. And you said exactly, what I was thinking is relative to this industry specifically. Sometimes we get a little bit too big for our britches, man. I've seen people who came from nothing that have started to earn a little bit of money, and now all of a sudden it's changed who they are. They're not the same person mentally. They're not the same person emotionally. And you can just see it happening in slow motion, that they're kind of on a crash course where something needs to give. They're either going to lose their marriage, they're going to lose their relationship with friends, they may financially lose their business. But getting your ego in check is something that every single one of us needs to deal with. Talk a little bit about that.
Dave, that's a great question. So I have an acronym for ego: exaggerated, glorified opinions. I constantly always lied about how much I knew about construction and what I thought I knew. And I'm like, I know it all. I didn't know anything. Glory, Marcus's name in the paper, praise Marcus, no team. What team? They don't exist. It's all me. And opinions. Hey, Marcus, let's try going this way. Let's go the other way. I had to always have the last word. Again, right, Dave? You're so correct. You have to be confident in what you're doing. Believe in yourself. You're good at your job. If you're selling, hey, what I provide will give you maximum value for what you give me in return. It is going to be a great transaction for us both. But the minute you allow your ego to get bigger than a good part of your soul, it's over. Because at that point, you stop listening. At that point, you're no longer caring about people. At that point, it's only about the money. It's only about the fame. I call them external motivating factors. And that's exactly what happened to me, Dave. I got into all the money, the cars, the women, the nightlife, and I literally went from top of my game, boom, and I crashed and burned. So again, if you're listening, being confident is awesome. Being arrogant and egotistical and cocky, it will catch up with you.
So here's the thing too, man. I think that you can probably have an ego and get away with it more as an employee. But if you have an ego and you're the leader of the organization, you got big, big problems. And I'm not condoning that anybody really have an ego, but I'm going to tell you, when you're in leadership, whatever transgressions you have in your life are magnified 10x, if not more, once you're sitting at the top of the pyramid. And people look for that. And it's interesting because I feel like over the course of my career, and look, anybody who's listening to this knows that I don't need to put wind in my own sail or brag. It's just a known fact. I've been a successful producer. Numbers don't lie. I hit my numbers. That doesn't translate to joy in my life and fulfillment in my occupation. So I'm really, really good at going out and producing business, which translates to I can make good money doing it. But the fact of the matter is, the real joy in my professional career at this point is taking a gift that I've been given, repackaging that and translating it to teach it to other people. And I get more joy off of watching other people use my strategies and thought processes to succeed and make that money for themselves than I ever got making it for myself. There comes a time when you can only earn so much. There's only so much money can buy. And I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but it's just like this last weekend, man. I 5 years ago, I'd have never taken the time off around 4th of July to take a long weekend and go unplug. and be with my wife and kids and not respond to email or anything else. But that's where I was this weekend because, there was a time that came where I just drew a line in the sand and said, you know what? Why am I doing this? What's the point? If I want to be Ebenezer Scrooge and all I'm doing sitting and counting my money in my spare time, what kind of a life is that? Last summer, my oldest son turned 21, and because of COVID, we didn't get to take his 18-year-old trip. But I have a goal in my life that when my kids hit 18, I'm going to take them on a trip one-on-one, and that's their journey. That's the gateway into adulthood. So last summer, we went to Alaska for 9 days and went salmon fishing and halibut fishing, and we went to Munich for Oktoberfest because Grayson wanted to go over there and experience that. My middle son turned 18 last month, and this Friday, we're flying to Panama City, Panama to go fishing off the coast of Panama for a week. Why? Because I made that a priority in my life. And the thing is, too many times we get busy in these high energy occupations, high earning potential, and we sit there and we say, but I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time. Bullshit. You don't have time because it's not a priority to you. When you make something a priority, it's amazing how quickly you find time for it.
Dave, what you're saying is in full alignment with me, and I can see we're going to be really great friends because what you're living, my friends, what I call serenity, fulfillment. Literally, Dave, when I got divorced, I moved into an apartment. I was like down and broken and this and that. And if you're listening to this, this can work so well in any industry, but especially when it comes to insurance and being a producer. Visualize what you want for yourself, vocalize and speak good about yourself, vote, do something towards your goal daily, make one step forward, and then venture out and find your tribe. Mick Hunt, who has become like a really great friend to me. We work together now, do business together. I'm loving what you're about. Ryan, I send footballs to his boys. And you, Dave, are living exactly what I am living now. It's that serenity factor. I didn't work this weekend either, right? I was taking time off. I didn't have my daughter because of the divorce with her mom, not a problem. I pick her up today at 5 o'clock. We're going to go see Despicable Me 4 at 5 o'clock today at the movie theater. Like, that's what we're doing. Like, I tell them, picking you up there at 4:30. Movie starts at 5, popcorn, soda. She loves her French fries, Present Bites. Have a ball. I'll probably drop $100 at the movie. But you know what? She loves it. She turns 10 July 18th on my dad's birthday, who passed away. Same birthday. I've only got 8 more years, 7 or 8 more years. She's gone. My stepdaughter, I met her when she was 8. She's now 21 years old, rising junior at NYU, got a full scholarship for her junior year. I remember when she was 8 years old and she's now 21. I tell her all the time, I'm so proud of you. I love you. I'm here for you. If you don't have that, again, that's the legacy. Like I said, if I'm making money doing this and that, but my daughters don't know who I am, we don't spend any time together, we don't do anything fun together, then what is it all for? So what you're saying, I am in full alignment with.
So here's my question, man. You don't get to the NFL without being disciplined. I mean, they're arguably Antonio Brown, maybe some people that just have so much talent that they can't help but end up there. Like, they're so much better than everybody else. And I laugh about Antonio Brown because even he's disciplined to a certain degree, right? But what you're saying about knowing what your goal is and then making incremental progress every day, that doesn't just come from the fact that you had a construction company, lost it all, and you've had this new vision. Some of that stuff is deeply ingrained in who you are from the time you were a child playing organized sports on a team and then pushing toward that common goal with everybody. At least that's how it's been for me. And it's been interesting. And so where I'm headed with this is, in my industry, it is painfully obvious anytime I work on any type of a group project, whether it be investment oriented or it's an educational thing or a program we're putting on or whatever, I could tell you within the first couple of minutes who grew up playing organized sports and who didn't. I can tell beyond a shadow of a doubt, because if you had good coaches, and that's a big if, but if you had good coaches, Ego was never a problem when I was a kid. Ego translated into running foul poles at the end of the baseball practice or sitting out while somebody else started because you got lippy or you thought you knew better. But I think that, my growing up playing organized sports instilled a different type of discipline in me and a different view of the world based on my role inside of a team as opposed to my role as an individual. How much of what you do today can you trace back to your early days of just even getting involved in organized sports?
It's everything because what's interesting, Dave? I lost my construction company, not because I didn't know better, but I was going through a really rough time. I lost my dad not that long before. And I just got into this thing of like me, me, me. And I knew better than that, but nobody was able to tell me that. And today, in how I work with our team and serve them and what we do, it all stems back to great coaching, teamwork, discipline. Great quote by Abraham Lincoln. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. And if you don't have discipline, if you don't, especially playing football, right? If it's an offensive lineman, if you don't do your job correctly, somebody gets hurt. Running back, quarterback, your O-line teammates, whomever, because defensive linemen are trying to come in and just wreak havoc on an offense. So I learned this long ago, and a great quote that I tell people when I speak that Jack Del Rio says, I'm just going to give you the quote. This can be a little bit why it's so special to me. In life, be your own CEO. Jack Del Rio, 2003 rookie minicamp. He told all of us in that room, drafted and undrafted, you are now a Jaguar. What you do from here on out, that's on you. Your play on the field, coming to work early, staying late, going to the community, all these things. Jack made it apparent to us. That's our choice, right? You work for the Jaguars, you are your own person. If you're listening to this and you're a producer, you are your own producer. You have to go out and be your own CEO. Don't sit around and wait for David to tell you what to do, or Ryan or Mick. Do it because you know it needs to be done. Don't wait. So playing sports and being around so many great coaches and then having Jack Del Rio tell me it's a 22-year-old rookie right there, because I'm the first lineman, and I'm still to date, Dave, the only lineman drafted from Howard University to the National Football League.
No kidding, man.
The only one. We've had 10 guys drafted total. I'm the only lineman. And I remember Jack saying, Marques, we drafted you because we knew you were going to be a great team player on and off the field. And when Jack told us to be our own CEO, right there, that moment I knew, he said, Marques, I said in my mind, it's up to you. Jack can't help you. Shaq can't help you. Like, nobody can help you but you. Be your own CEO. And I took that and I ran with it.
So I found a quote from you online. Authenticity creates victory. Where'd that come from?
We have a podcast called Get Authentic with Marques Ogden. And I'm going to be authentic. That podcast launched June of 2022. And I ended up filing for divorce July of 2022. And Dave, every time I interviewed somebody, I put on my authentic, real self. Did I do what I had to do? Absolutely. No excuses, none of that stuff. But I would tell people, hey, look, I'm going to tie in some things in my life, personally, and professionally. Like, I'm going to be me, right? And our show's tagline, authenticity starts here. We are here because we want to help others understand, right, Dave, that they are good enough. Confidence is awesome. Having an ego stems from truly not believing you are good enough. And you know why, Dave? Because that's how I felt with my 8 figure-a-year construction business. I didn't know construction. I didn't know how to bid jobs, how to market. I didn't know how to read plans. I didn't know any of that stuff. And because I didn't, right, I lived what we call the personality ethics, rage, wrath, envy, jealousy. I should live in what we call the character ethics, loyalty, honesty, truth, prudence. But my ego, it exacerbated itself because at the real core, Dave, I was afraid of being found out to be a fake and a phony. And instead of being real and getting some help and getting better at my craft, I took the easy road, and the easy road caused me to go down the long road.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that the easiest thing in the world to do is be authentic, and the hardest thing in the world to do is be authentic, depending on where you're at in life, man. Like I'm the type of person now. I just turned 50 last year. I actually turned 51 in the beginning of September. And when I turned 50, things happen. You start to reflect back on life and look at things a little bit differently. For example, I can say with mathematical certainty, I've already lived 50% of my life. There's a real hard shot that I'm going to make it to 100. I can live with that. But when you're getting up to 50, you're still on the crescendo. You still don't think that way. And because of that, you let opportunity pass you by that you could have taken. When you're on the other side of the mountain and you realize that you've lived probably at least the first 50% of your life, and you don't have 50, every day you live is one less day you're going to be around, you tend to seize the moment more. You tend to take more opportunities. You tend to stop and take deep breaths and enjoy the moment that you're in, as opposed to all the things we do to build up to that. For me, at the age that I'm at right now, there are a lot of things that I've made decisions on in my life, things that I've done that I'm not proud to talk about. But if I'm also of the mindset that if me telling my story, me talking about stupid things that I've done with money, or the first marriage that I lost because I got consumed in being a producer and sold out to that, and all of those things, if I can make a difference on one person, I sleep much better at night. And here's the thing, there comes a shift in your life. Maybe not everybody's born this way. Maybe it's only isolated to me, but there comes a time in your life where you just don't care what people judge you about anymore. I just don't care. Yeah, there's a lot of things I've done that I'm not proud of. Like I said, I'm divorced. I have 2 children from my first marriage, 2 children from my second marriage. I was raised in a Southern Baptist home where divorce wasn't even allowed to be said, let alone tabled for discussion. And so I have family that looks down on me. And there was a period of my life where I questioned my own ability to succeed in anything because I didn't get that right. And I think that sometimes there's a certain amount of a dark shadow that's cast over you if you're divorced, even though divorce is far more mainstream now than it was, 20, 30 years ago. It's something I didn't really talk about. But how much of a favor am I really doing to my audience, especially younger producers that maybe are newly married, don't have kids yet, if I could tell them the story about what it was like to work in an agency where we had carrier reps coming in 5 days a week, and I was the low man on the totem pole, the young guy trying to get ahead, go to dinner with them every night. I was leaving my home at 7 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock every morning, and rolling back in at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, because I'd go work all day, play all night. And there's an argument to be made that I made relationships, and some of those still pay off for me today. But what did it cost me? And why would I be apprehensive to share that story if I'm okay with my life's in a far better place than it is or would be had that relationship not been terminated? But why make it weird about talking about it if it could save somebody else from making the same mistake? And I think when you get personal about things that have happened in people's lives, the difficulty of being authentic is we're so concerned about how we're going to be viewed or judged by somebody else, when the reality is the only people I really care about are the people inside the 4 walls of my house. End of story.
And you know what, Dave? That's exactly the way I live my life. Everybody has skeletons in their closet. Everybody has things they've done they're not proud of. And like you said, what I love to do is tell who I am, where I messed up in life. And one of my big mantras, inspiring you to take accountability and then helping you succeed where I failed. And I failed and learned a lot. Business, yes. My marriage, yes, there were things, again, I wish I would have been a better communicator in my marriage early because it would have helped some things, right? Now, it's two sides to every coin, but at the end of the day, I wish I was a better communicator. And, right, Dave, I wish I had learned how to talk about things like money and finances better with my ex-wife. We did not see well eye to eye there. So I could have done a lot better. And I tell people all the time, in life, when you make a mistake, you own it, you fix it, you move on. Don't dwell. When you're a producer out there doing great, you have 10 meetings, you get a contract, great. You don't get the next one, that's okay. What did you do? You could have fixed and learned from, apply it to the next job, to the next appointment, right? I tell you all the time, knowledge is power. Applying knowledge is life-changing. When you apply what you have learned as a result of making mistakes or experience or life or things you've gone through, that's when you're living your best life, right? So like for me, in my new relationship, trying to understand how to communicate better with the person I'm with and how she wants to be talked to, what she needs, what I need. And again, that's what it's about. It's just like that in business, right? Talking to a prospective client, what do they need? How can you serve them? What do you bring to the table to solve their problem? Everybody has a problem. How can you solve it? But again, you have to be an active listener. Don't have your own agenda. And don't try to go in there with this preconceived notion of, I'm going to give you this, I'm going to do this. Well, you don't really know. So understand people. Have empathy, have compassion, have understanding. That will help you connect with people. You heard Dave say he's made relationship at a cost that he still has to this day. But he didn't do that by trying to talk over people, trying to bully people. He learned how to listen. He learned how to be there. He learned how to be a good person they could come and talk to. And because of that, he has success. And he's learned now, from like he's in his first marriage, I learned in my marriage how to live a better life, a more fulfilled life. He said, with his kids doing a lot more, so am I. That's how you live life, Dave.
So here's my question. I'm going to go a little bit different direction, but not really. You had your time in the NFL. You had your time with your construction business. Now you got a lot of momentum with what you're doing right now. And I've lived this life, not exactly the same, but I've lived a life where I'm out speaking all the time. I'm out, getting the message out, regardless of what it's about. How do you find time for yourself? How do you find the time for yourself to invest in you, to evolve personally and professionally on a daily basis, knowing all of the other stuff you have coming at you right now?
So that's a great question. I have a coach, and I went to the NAPSA program, David. It was put on by the NFLPA, Retired Players Association. It was at Penn State in 2018. It was conducted by Mr. Bradley Mitchell, and Brad became my coach. And I talk with Brad once a week on how I'm doing, what's going on, where I'm at. And we always have a balance system. Like I practice self-care. I'm a gym guy and morning runs and pedicures and taking care of myself and trips and all these things in my downtime. When I work, I work. When I'm with my daughter, like I'll pick up day at 5 o'clock, so at 4:30, movies at 5, boom. Like I may do something when she goes to sleep around like 9, but if she was until 10, I will be asleep then. Catch it tomorrow, right? I've learned that you can't do everything in one day. So don't try. Learn how to balance yourself. Because if you're trying to do something and you're not charged and you don't have a good fuel in all the fuel in your gas tank, you're going to put out something subpar anyway. And what good is that? So again, between self-care right there, and then also with my coach, Brad Mitchell, and then I have some mentors that are in my life, good friends that I talk to probably, every couple of weeks. I always maintain that balance of light. And when I have my daughter, on our time, we have our time. She loves science. She loves to draw. She loves to paint. She loves to swim. We're always doing things with Farrah to keep her always into the way of like having a good childhood and a good life.
So what I hear you saying is you're intentional about it and you make time for it to make sure that you're fully committed to whatever it is you're doing at that time. And I think that's important, man. There's a lot of us that complain about not getting things done throughout the day. But, when I started calendar blocking and making sure that when I put something on my calendar, this is what this time is devoted to, and I remove all other distractions, it changed my productivity. But more importantly, it changed the way I walked into the house at the end of the workday. I wasn't in a bad mood. I wasn't dealing with anxiety because I didn't get everything done. And that translated immediately into my little girl being able to read my mind from the second I walked in the door, knowing whether daddy had a good day or a bad day at work. And so if you're somebody who's out there and you're not hitting the self-care piece, I happen to be a believer that if you have your mind, body, and spirit in order, your life's going to work pretty well. The rest of the stuff will figure it out. So we need to read, we need to work out, and we need to meditate, go to church, whatever your religious affiliation is. But I believe that if you do those three things and you commit to them, your life is a whole lot smoother and you operate with far more grace. I didn't always do that. Like, my little girl has the ability to read. Literally, the second I walk in the door, she can tell from whatever vibe I'm giving off, whether it's been a good day or a bad day. But here's the other thing, though. I think that, and this is something I've been talking about a little bit just with my crew for the last little bit. We get so caught up in visualization, right? We want to see, name it and claim it. Here's the goal. We're going to dream for it. We're going to work a little bit towards it every day. But what happens when you hit that roadblock? What happens when you hit that slump? And I go back to my days of playing ball, man. And I'm sure that I didn't play football nearly at the level you did. I played in high school, but that's almost like a rec sport at that point, but I did play baseball very competitively. And I thought about this, there's a direct translation of most of our athletic journeys to our professional careers today. If I got in a slump, I didn't visualize the future harder. First thing I'd do is go back and watch tape and find out what had I done in the past that led me to be successful. What was I doing in my batting stance when I went 400 over those 20 games and I could hit literally anything that was thrown at me? Did I have better pitch selection? Was I focusing on a certain part of the plate? Where was I standing in the box? And I think that so many times we get caught up in visualizing positive outcomes for the future that we don't realize that a lot of times we have a key to success that worked for us and somehow something just fell out of the repertoire, whatever it is. I mean, it's like the story of, you don't go to the gym for a day. The next thing you know, you haven't been there for a month, a year, 5 years. It only takes missing one day for the pattern to start. And the reality is the same thing happens in our professional careers. Maybe I've got a go-to line that I've worked on that's gotten me 4 or 5 deals, and then I just forget to use the line one time and I don't get a deal, and that thing falls out of my arsenal and I don't use it again. Well, one of the things that I've done is I've kept a binder, a 3-ring binder of every agent of record letter that I've ever gotten when I've gotten hired on an account. And if I ever hit a slump, I can go back and I can start in page 1. Where I remember what I was wearing that day. I remember who I talked to. I remember what I said. I remember what got the deal done. I remember what I did to deliver on my promises. Guess what? You don't have to get more than about 10 pages into that binder, no matter where you start, before you realize, okay, I got to get back to doing this, this, and this. And you can at least figure out and kind of engineer how to get the train back on the tracks. I think you have to have a healthy dose of both visualization and reflection.
Oh, Dave, here's the thing. Visualization is one of the most powerful tools in our toolbox to get us in a state of wanting to be positive thinking and wanting us to move into a better direction. But reflection is all about looking at what we've done and what has worked and what has not worked. Because when you reflect on that, you can use what worked, as you said, right, Dave? You have your binder and you look at what worked to visualize going forward what you need to do to get back on track. So it is a key aspect to take time and reflect. What do we do, Dave, after a game on the NFL? What is Monday? Film day. That's what it is, right? Monday is film day. Tuesday is your off day, but it's film. What did you do in the game? What did you do when you had a great pass set? When you got beat, did you drop your foot? Did you open the gate? Did you did you have your shoulder not too far back? Did you get your outside hand? I can go on this for days. And that's what it is in business, right? You close some deals. Great. How are you dressed? What were you saying? Were you listening first, talking second? Go do a job. You didn't get it. Did you talk first? Did you not look professional? Did you not say how much value you could bring to people like you brought to other clients? What missed? What was it, right? Figuring out, Dave, what worked and what didn't work is part of us seeing into the future what we want. I visualize, right, Dave, buying a brand new home 12 months after I moved into my apartment. I bought that house 6 months early, right there. I bought a $500,000 house by myself in this market, still not even officially divorced yet. We're in the separation process, right? And I visualized what I wanted, but I reflected back to what worked when I was doing things in my business, getting speaking jobs, getting podcast sponsors, going on shows. And people forget, right, Dave, the power of strategic networking. The minute you said, you have a podcast, I said, Dave, where do I sign up? It didn't take me, where do I sign up? And people forget that. They want to meet somebody and say, how can you hire me? How can I buy? How can you help make me money? It's not about that. Like, how can we have a conversation? How can I get to know you? How can I help you? Right? So if you're wanting to move forward, look at what you did in the past that worked, study it, and apply it going forward in your producing, in your business, in your life, and just keep moving forward.
100%. And again, I want to highlight intentionality is key, because on Monday morning, you've got that time set aside to go watch film. If you don't have your week set up intentionally to give you time to do these things, you need to re-examine your calendar, period. Like, I was sitting in church one Sunday morning and the pastor said, I can tell you everything I need to know about a man by reviewing two things: his checkbook and his calendar. That tells me where his priorities are. And I think the same thing holds true in business to a certain degree. I can look at anybody's calendar and pretty much tell how serious they are about their job based on the intentionality that I see during a work week. If it's not there, they're probably not hitting their numbers. And we're in an industry that's very forgiving. You can not hit your numbers and still make a pretty good living in insurance. But that's not who I want to roll with. I want to be with the people who are exceeding their numbers. And I want to find the people that are going to push me to be better. And I want to find the people that have figured out ways to do things that I haven't thought of yet. And that's when you have to know that it's okay to check your ego at the door. I'll never purport that I know everything about the industry. I think I got some pretty good tips and tricks, but I'm never going to stop learning at what I do. And so my next question to you is, we haven't really spent any time at all talking about your podcast, just a very little bit, but why don't you talk about the goal of your podcast? Why did you start it? What do you hope that your audience gets from it? Because my goal in having you on here would be to have some of these people that enjoyed our conversation go over and listen and know what they're getting into.
I appreciate that, Dave. So our podcast is called Get Authentic with Marques Ogden. It was started to really inspire people to know that they are good enough and they don't have to look outside themselves to find greatness and fulfillment and really being the best of the best. And we interview all kinds of people: celebrities, athletes, actors, business leaders. We've had Mick on our show. We've had Ryan on our show. We're going to have you on our show. It's all about people who just want to help, right? That is the theme, is Authentic people sharing authentic stories, and people love it. And we're in the top 0.5% most popular podcast worldwide.
Mm.
Never thought that would happen in a million years. After restarting it, after then filing for divorce the next month, and then going through all that I went through. But every day I was intentional about just doing something positive. And Dave is so funny. I balance my bank accounts and my calendar at the end of every day. Some days it doesn't even have every day. Just check this. Okay, calendar set for tomorrow. Okay, I go in my inbox. Okay, meetings for tomorrow. Star them. Great. Ready for tomorrow. Boom, out the door. That's how you have to be. And the podcast is about teaching you how to be your best from people who are authentic, and we're going to tell you the good, bad, and the ugly, what they've done to help you that are listening move forward in your life. It's about the people that are listening, bettering their lives through our guests' powerful, authentic stories.
I'll tell you what, man, I bet there's a certain amount of self-satisfaction reconciling your bank account and your calendar at the end of the day, because it used to be a whole lot easier than it is today, I would imagine, when there's nothing to balance. You know, I can remember, dude, I can remember being so poor and so far behind that the microwave would go off and I would run to the front windows to see if it was a tow truck beeping to back up and repossess my vehicle. So I think that people are attracted to people who are authentic and are willing to share those stories, regardless of how embarrassing they may perceive them to be. Because if you're doing it authentically, you're doing it from a place where you just don't want anybody else to have to go through the depths that you've been in, so that you can help them avoid that. So I appreciate you sharing that about your podcast, because I think it's a message that a lot of people need to hear in a general thought process and a way of life. You know, I'm at a point now where the last thing anybody would ever accuse me of is being selfish. I'm not selfish with money. I'm not selfish with time, as long as it's warranted. And I'm not selfish with knowledge. I freely give as much as I possibly can away, because there were people in my life that invested in me along the way that did the same. And there are dollars that I've made that I never would have made if somebody would not have taken the time to invest in me. And that's something I will never ever forget. And I already said it. I'm as fulfilled or more fulfilled today watching somebody else take something they didn't know that I taught them, that they have now executed and perfected, that's changed their ability to earn for their family. I don't need to make a single dollar to sleep well at night knowing that.
Well, I'll tell you what, Dave, sleep good tonight, knowing you helped me with our conversation about the brand and what I'm doing, where I'm going. Looking forward to doing a lot in your industry. You know, you, Mick, and Ryan have been great guys. You guys are guys I would love to hang out with and build friendships with. And you helped me with taking a few minutes of your time before the show to impact me on what I'm doing. So again, that's the example, right, Dave, of every day just doing something intentional to help someone else be better in their life. Without Mick Hunt, I don't meet Ryan. Without Ryan, I don't meet Drake. Without Drake, I don't meet you. And Mick's been a fan of mine for like the last 2 years, and I didn't even know it. And when I met my dude, I'm like, I'm a fan of yours. And so, boom, now here we are. And that's and I'll close with this, right, right, Dave? That's what business is all about when you're trying to produce in any industry, but especially a producer in insurance. Build authentic relationships with people, built off of respect, trust, and admiration, and let everything else take its course from there.
People need to realize they're the product. The policy is not the product. They need to operate as if they're the product, and the rest of it becomes a whole lot easier for us. I'll be honest with you. So listen, where do they find your podcast? Talk about your website quick as we wrap up. I want to drive people to where you're at. You probably thought I was over here reading my email when I keep looking to the left, but I've been blasting out screenshots on social, man. So everybody already knows we recorded today. I tagged you, and they're going to be able to find you that way. But I want to make sure that my audience knows, and we'll get it into the show notes. How do they find you online, and where's the best place for them to go? And if there's somebody who's looking for a keynote to come in and get everybody pumped up, do they go to the same place, or how do they reach out to you for that as well? Because I did tag some people that I know were looking for speakers over the course of the last couple of weeks. So they know that you're open.
So if you're looking to book me for a speaker, you can go to you can send me an email, Marques, MARQUES at MarquesOgden.com. So Marques at MarquesOgden.com. You can also go to our website, www.marquesogden.com. You can also go to our 360 link, which is Marques360.com. Also, that we have an app. We have the Marques Ogden app. On your Apple or Android phone, type in and go to your app store, type in Marques Ogden. Bam, up will pop the app. You can listen to, it's free, great content, great interaction, all these different things. You can connect with us and you can listen to us here in that regard. And then you just want to go to our socials. We're on LinkedIn, Marques Ogden, Instagram, all these places. Again, you can go to marquesogden.com, Marques360.com, shoot me an email, Marques at marquesogden.com, or go to your app store on your Apple or Android phone and type in Marques Ogden, and our free app will pop right on up.
Awesome. Well, I encourage everybody to do that. You know, whether you're aware of it or not, one of the issues that our industry faces is we're probably the whitest industry on the planet, and we severely lack diversity that is so desperately needed, not just to check the box and say that we hit our numbers, but because we need the difference in perspective and experience to push us to be better. So, you know, if you're listening to this on Apple, maybe you know Marques is African-American, maybe you don't, but I highly encourage you to let some of this thought process get into your head and subsequently bring that and Marques into our industry, because he's coming to us at a time where his message and his presence is desperately needed. And I can't express that enough. So I want to thank you very much for taking an hour out of your time. We didn't record for an hour because we got to shoot in the breeze before we started, but to me, that's as important as the time everybody gets to hear. So I look forward to the two of us being able to continue dialogue. I know I'm going to see you in person. I'm a hugger, man. I'm built like a lineman too. So, you know, a lot of people, I tell people all the time, I don't look like it right now because I'm going to be fishing next week. So I decided to take off shaving for the weekend. When I'm heavier, I look like Steven Seagal when I got long hair. And when I'm thinner and I got my hair short, I look like Peyton Manning. I've had people ask for my autograph as both. It's crazy. So you can be the judge of that when we see each other in Vegas.
Awesome.
Man.
That's awesome.
But
I'm a hugger too, man. We'll hug it up. We'll chat. Like I said, man, definitely we'll be talking offline. Great guy, man. Great podcast. Great energy. It was just fun to be. It was just fantastic.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you taking the time to come on. I'll catch you soon.
Talk to you soon, brother.
All right, see you.